If you'd like to know the easiest ways to increase sales and average transaction values in your food business, then stay tuned and I'm going to take you through the top 5 menu psychology techniques to increase sales in your food business. If you'd like to hear more about how you could start or grow your own cafe or restaurant business, then stay tuned and watch our video series. Press the subscribe button and you'll be notified every week when we drop a new video. Hi, I'm Rowena. I'm a food consultant based in Sydney, Australia, and over the years I have worked with hundreds of businesses to really skyrocket their sales. So if you're interested in knowing how to increase sales in your food business, we specialise in low cost and no cost strategies to really make your business fire. Without doubt, the best menu psychology technique to use is the actual layout of your menu. So we call a menu, it's like real estate. It has different values depending on where it is on your menu. So what you want to do is place your hero items, which are your menu items that have the best profit margin and the ones you really want to push, in the most valuable real estate on your actual menu. Now we're talking about a physical menu. So customers will often be drawn to the top right hand space of a menu first. So that is a great place to put one of the items that you really want to promote. Now here's a really easy tip to do it. Put a box around it, call it a chef's specialty or a house specialty, and watch the number of those menu items increase, the actual sales of that menu item. Here's another tip. You can change the font, the actual font type or the font size to draw the eye. So when someone's looking at a menu and they're holding it out like this, you want to direct their eye to different places on the menu, to menu items that you want to sell more of. Here's another tip. Get rid of the dollar signs altogether. So for example, if you have a salad on the menu that's $12, don't write it as $12 with a dollar sign in front, just write it as 12. Now the reason being is people don't want to be reminded of parting with their cash. You want them to relax and spend more money without tallying it up in their head. So don't attract attention to the actual dollar signs on the menu. Now here's another tip. Don't put the values of all the menu items down on the right hand side in a column, because the eye will be drawn to that column and people will feel obliged to choose something that is not very expensive. People are very value oriented, especially these times, current times. People are far more conscious of a budget unless they're going to a fine dining restaurant, but even then they are less likely to choose the most expensive item on the menu. So instead, put the value of the menu item directly next to the description of the menu item, rather in a separate column that runs down the side. Okay, technique number 2 is really easy. It's use descriptive language. So when you're describing a menu item, don't use plain, uninspiring language. Use appealing language that is going to create an image of that dish in the customer's mind and really sell it to them. Your menu really acts like a salesperson. The language you use is really important. So let's use the example of a hamburger. If you've got a beef burger on your menu, don't just write it's a beef burger, with cheese or pickles, but use language that's going to really entice someone to part with their cash and buy that menu item. So how about something like a succulent char-grilled beef patty with house-made pickles and double cheese, or something along those lines. Now that description is going to sell far more burgers than a plain description of a beef burger on a menu. So really think about your descriptions. And of course, here's the tip. Make sure you use very descriptive language to talk about that menu item. Think about words like succulent and juicy and house-made or char-grilled, all the different cooking techniques or provenance of the ingredients used to really make those menu items sell. Really important to pepper your descriptions with the provenance of the goods. So where are the ingredients from? For example, if they're from a particular region that's famous for that fresh ingredients, make sure that you use that on the menu and say where that beef is from. Let's use the example again of a hamburger. If it's a Wagyu beef burger, make sure you state that it's Wagyu beef. The same applies for ribs. Are they prime ribs? Are they pork, Coraboo to pork ribs? What type of ribs are they if they're from a particular region that is known for that produce. Another type of language to use is whether something is made in-house. If something is house-made, then that is a great description to people. They know it's made from scratch in the kitchen. You can use terminology like chef's specialty, house-made, made in-house, home-baked. They're all great descriptions of menu items that you'll find will sell more of that particular item than if you just wrote something like, you know, a muffin rather than saying our house-baked, fresh-baked daily raspberry and white chocolate muffin. Before we continue, what type of menu psychology techniques have you employed in your place that have really seen menu items sell really well and supported sales of menu items? Pop your comments down below and let's have a look at what techniques are working well for some other people. Okay, here's a technique that might require a little bit of effort, but technique number 3 has to be tabletop markers or tent cards on tabletops. Now, by that I mean the marketing collateral that sits on a table that is proactively advertising menu items when no staff is around to make recommendations and while a customer is just sitting there waiting to order. They act as a silent salesperson. So think about your hero dishes. What are the menu items that you really want to promote? Let's think about them in terms of what are your most profitable menu items and develop some simple tent cards or tabletop talkers and pop them on every table in your establishment, and let's see how those menu items start selling like hotcakes. Technique number 4 is a really interesting one. It's actually called the paradox of choice. Here's what we recommend. It's called limiting your menu. Have a really concise menu and I'll tell you why. It's a really great trick. People actually get overwhelmed with lengthy menus, and what happens is they actually regret sometimes the decision they've made, because when they're under pressure to make a decision, perhaps the salesperson, or otherwise known as waiter or waitress, has come over to take their menu several times and they've not been ready. If you limit the menu, you give them a concise menu, they're not overwhelmed, they're not feeling anxious, it's not creating that flustered sort of feeling within your customers, which is exactly what you don't want your customers to feel. So let's go for a concise menu. It's a great trick of the trade and it makes it so much easier for your customers to make their selection, and don't forget, it makes it so much more convenient and easy for the kitchen to reach those kitchen efficiencies that we are always talking about. Limited menus are the way to go. Okay, technique number 5 is all about the upsell and the cross-sell, perhaps one of the most valuable menu psychology techniques to use. Now, it involves a bit of staff training. Now, we really have to stop thinking of our waiters and waitresses as being there only to serve people. They're actually there to sell. They are there to sell food and a dining experience and everything that goes along with that to your customers. So here's the thing, train them to cross-sell and upsell. So by cross-selling, we're talking about things like sides and add-ons to, like, for example, added menu items or ingredients on their burgers, if we're using the example that we have been previously of burger, or it might be sides, it might be drinks, it might be desserts, it might be a sweet treat with a coffee. They are all add-on sales. It's called suggestive selling, whether it's an upsell, which is actually getting a more expensive product within the same category out of your customer. So instead of going for the plain beef burger, you might be able to get them to upsell to the Wagyu beef burger at a higher price point, or it might be the cross-sell, so sides and drinks and so forth. But either way, the great benefit is it has a huge impact on your average transaction value, and it also has a huge impact on your bottom line. So train your waiters and waitresses to be the salespeople that they really are. If you'd like to access or download our free tool about how to get sales really firing during these COVID times where there is pressure on our industry like never seen before, make sure you click on the download button below and access your free copy of strategies that will really get your sales firing. Enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe. Every week we are dropping new videos that are based on low cost and no cost strategies to really get your venues firing. Whether you're dreaming of opening your own food business or you've already achieved that dream, let us help you along the journey. Thanks for watching.